Hey YouTube, happy Wednesday morning. I'm gonna talk about Queen Sugar. All right, it's season 4, episode 5. Okay, so this thing opens up with Grace confronts Charity about calling Noah. Remember last week, Noah called Grace and told her that his wife had heard this voicemail. That marriage, it doesn't seem very trusting. I mean, she goes through his voicemails. Anyway, Charity left this thing. I don't know if Charity was planning on her hearing the voicemail, or was that supposed to be their home phone? Anyway, the woman who was married to Noah heard the voicemail. She took that to mean that Noah had went to visit Grace, his old girlfriend, his old love. And he hadn't told her about it, that he was actually out of town visiting Grace. He jumps to a conclusion, and he's trying to, let me turn this off. He's trying to explain to her, and the only way he feels like he can explain what happened to her is to tell her the truth. So he tells her about the boy, about the son they have together, which he had no knowledge of. And the wife puts him out. Now that must be some kind of hell of a marriage, where she going to hold him responsible for a baby that he never even knew existed. Anyway, so now he tells Grace. Now Grace is confronting Charity for making that crazy ass call and causing him to lose his marriage because the woman put him out. Right. Of course, Charity, she's snippy because she knows she's done wrong. But she tries to turn it back on Grace, that maybe Grace is the one that broke up their marriage. And maybe Grace is the one with the secrets. Anyway, next thing we see is Jacob is praying. He's got a plan for the homeless program. The homeless program which he attempted to start on this property that he had acquired. But they lost the property. Now he sold the property now. But he still has a plan for how Calvary, Harmony and Hope Church can help the homeless. Right? Then we see Clarisa. Okay, Clarisa goes into May. You know, they don't get along. Clarisa goes to May and asks her, can she have the furniture? I assume this is the furniture from their suite. Right? Of course, in an estate that big, there's probably furniture stored in basements and all whatever. I'm assuming that this means the furniture from their suite, which is only 2 rooms, but it will give her a head start, I guess. May says, no, we gave you the furniture last time when you took that ramshackle parsonage from when Jacob was the pastor of the other church. They had the little bitty house, and she fixed it up. I didn't realize that the furniture came from May's house. She said, nope, you're not taking no more furniture. Lady May does not want them to move out. She wants her son. She probably wouldn't have a problem with Clarisa moving out. She wants her son to live there in the house with them. Remember, this is a huge house now. It's like a compound type house. All right. Charity goes and talks to Carlton. Carlton is her choir director. And she kind of confesses about what she's done, how she's broken up this marriage. He gives her a little pep talk. And she decides to go and tell Phil that she's not going to do it anymore. She is not going to spy on her family anymore. She has a sour taste in her mouth over this issue she's caused now with Noah and his family. Or his wife, shall we say. Phil hears about Jacob's plan for this homeless program. It doesn't fit in with his plans. And he said, no, it's a no-go. It's not going to happen. Right? But they're not just taking his word for it. Jacob is going to go and talk to the board directly about it. Okay? AJ the Creep is next. They're going to have to show some redeeming qualities to this boy soon, or we're going to lose all respect and love for this child and his plight. AJ, is Grace's abandoned son, right? He shows up unannounced in Grace's office. Now, they don't explain how he got into the office, but I guess if a secretary is there, they all got to go to the bathroom. They all got to go to the water fountain, to the printing machine, whatever. He got his way all the way into her office and is sitting in her office when she comes in, right? She explains to him very quickly that you cannot do this. She's not totally against the idea that he would at some point be introduced to the family in the church, but she is not ready for that to happen right now. He is still a secret, even though he is living there in Memphis, right? He comes in there with his nasty ass attitude, demanding more money. She says, I guess give you more money. He says, oh, that was a week ago. She says, no, it was 3 days ago. I can't count. But she gives him the money in his wallet, which he's... Ugh. She says, I'll send you some money. I'll wire some more money to your bank, right? So he's giving her no loves, just complaints, and he's taking her money. Then she says, what about a job? Then you say something about when are you going to start looking for a job, right? And she says, maybe I can help you find a job. He says, I'm not a charity case. No, wait a minute. We got to make allowances for this boy. He's 20 years old. But he said he's not a charity case, yet he's always asking her for money. She has gotten him an apartment, which she's had to pay for out of pocket. She is giving him money to come there to move to that area. And now she's giving him money and he's asking for more money. And he's done nothing towards getting a job. But he's not a charity case. Correct? He is still bitter at Grace. He is not able to let it go no matter how she tried to help him. It doesn't seem to make any difference. He's treating her like she's a trick. All right. While she's talking to him, Phil peeks in. Of course, his big ass knows. He wants to know who that kid is. So he hesitates at the door, but he acknowledges that this kid is in the room. He wants to know who he is. So in his next meeting with Charity, he asks Charity to find out who that kid is. Right? I don't know if he thinks that's some kind of affair she's having with some youngster. We don't know what he's thinking. But at least he has seen AJ at this point. And I'm just guessing this is where the problem is going to be, because AJ later on says that he's going to tell the next person who asks him who he is. But I'll get back to that. But Phil has made contact with him now, so he'll be pursuing this boy. To find out this scandal, he wants to bring Grace down. He has to disgrace her because Bob's mind is still not made up as to who's going to pastor that church. She's only in it for a year. She's the interim, but Phil sees this as his competition. Okay, so Bishop comes and sees Lady May, right? Give her the furniture. Bishop got a good voice. He got a good, deep, baritone voice. He tells May, why don't you give her the furniture? And May is adamant she doesn't give her nothing. She wants her boy to stay there in the house. And she also doesn't want Bishop to go on this trip to Atlanta to preach for one day. Now, what is the big deal there? May is making such a big deal out of him going to Atlanta. She even brings up his past affairs with her sister and that other woman. What's that got to do with it? I guess she's implying that she doesn't trust him away from the house. But the man is talking about going on a one-day trip to preach and come home. She won't even give him that. This man has worked as a preacher. It's been his vocation for all of his life. He's now forced into retirement because of health concerns. And now she won't even give him the opportunity to go and speak at a friend's church. I guess she has her reasons. I don't think it's because she thinks he's going to be there having an affair. But she has her reasons. He says, oh, you'll give her the furniture if I go? She leaves that up in the air. AJ shows up the brat AJ shows up at Aaron's office because Grace has asked Aaron. Well, first Aaron tells Grace that he's taken her money and paid off Bishop's tax debt. So he ain't got to worry about going to jail no more. He's paid up with the government. Then she asks him for another favor, which is to get this boy a job. And he says yes. Send him down to the office and we'll talk. So AJ shows up at this at Aaron's office, which is a very nice office. I don't know why we're seeing so much of Aaron. We're not seeing any of the, what was Charity's old husband? We haven't seen him hardly in this series at all. Maybe they showed him in the first episode. But they're supposed to be lovers living together. As far as I know, I think they even got married. Anyway, he hasn't come back yet, although he's sharing custody with Charity. Okay, hold on a minute. I lost my place. Okay, so Aaron talks. This boy has no idea that Aaron is actually Grace's brother, right? So this is actually his uncle. But he goes there. Aaron's already pretty much agreed to give him a job. The kid, AJ, they start talking about Grace and Aaron saying how great a person she is. Him with all of his resentments, thinking she's a terrible person for abandoning him. He got an opportunity to step into a dynasty, but he's such a brat, so locked into his resentments that he can't function. This man gonna give him a job. The boy says, "You gotta use the restroom," so he goes into supposed to be going to the restroom and leaves. Right in the middle of the interview. Phil approaches Charity again. He's asking her to go on a date with him, go to dinner with him. Charity is showing the first she said she hated him, right? Now she's showing the first glimpse of her softening to him. I'm sure most of us feel like he's going to somehow romance her. She says she'll think about it, but she ends up going to dinner with him, right? And in this dinner, he tells her that he is Bob Whitmore. Huh? He is the voice behind Bob Whitmore. He is the one who actually writes the books that Bob Whitmore puts his name on and all of his sermons. It's all been him behind the scenes. You know, he's like the man behind the curtain. And they show her softening, you know. She has not had a great track record with men. Anyway, later on, they show her in bed reading Bob Whitmore's books now with a smile on her face. Oh, he said that. Oh. Anyway, we're not all that happy about Charity at this point. I'm not. Okay, so Jacob, he goes to the board, takes his story to the board, right? About this program he wants to start for the homeless. They got a bad homeless situation there in Memphis, I guess. Like pretty much everywhere, I guess. Certainly here in San Francisco. But anyway, he wants to do something to address the homeless problem. Phil is against it. He don't know a damn thing about their town. I mean, he's showing up there. And if it doesn't fit his needs or his agenda, then he's not interested. He says Harmony and Hope has some kind of homeless policy anyway. But Jacob seems to be convincing the board. But while he's convincing them, and it's not going to take a lot of money to do this, just a commitment, his phone rings. So he hangs the phone up. And then his phone rings again. Now, why this man can't turn his phone off for whatever half hour, 45 minutes his meeting takes place, I don't know. But on the phone is Zora, his daughter. Zora is at a wild party. You can hear the music in the background, and he's saying, "Where are you at?" And she said, "Come here quick." And it's about this boy, Dante. You know, Dante, he's only involved with Dante because Dante has a problem with getting drunk and doing wild things. Before, I think he ran over some Confederate statues or something drunk. So his job is to keep this boy out of trouble, right? But he's having a big party at where he lives. It's like a high rise. And Zora says, you better get here quick. So Jacob leaves the meeting. He goes, sees this boy is drunk, way out of control, and he wants to burn his flag in their apartment. So there's some kind of racial tension going on here. He seems to have, he wants to make these statements about race. So I guess he wants to burn this flag in his apartment live on the air. People have, everybody has an iPhone now. Everybody has a phone. So that's his plan. He's drunk. He's out of control. Jacob comes there. He tries to break it up, or tries to talk him down, talk some sense into him. But these other two white teammates of Dante's, they show up, right? And they say, "Oh, this again." Remember this team that they've hired Jacob to watch after this dude and keep him out of these exact situations. Some words are exchanged and a big fight breaks out. Big fight, which is right in the middle of it, is Jacob. Of course, everybody's filming this. It's all over the internet now. It's all over the news. And there is an end here. A scene or two later, Jacob goes and tells Clarisa that he is... no, I'll save that for a minute. Right, so it's just broadcast, this big fight. Dante drunk, flag being burned, the fire going around the apartment, I guess. Okay, then we see Grace. Grace confronts AJ about why he walked out of the interview. He was a shoo-in for the job. He needs a job. He needs to be self-sufficient. And he goes off on her again and rejects her again. This boy, she should have gave him a couple $1,000s and a bus ticket out of town. That's the only way you can help. He's too caught up in his resentment. I would never trust this punk. Anyway, I know they're just actors, TV characters, and so forth. And hold on a minute. I have to take a minute and pray for the men and women who are raising teenagers. Come here, Queenie. Get a bum over here. See, like I'm raising one. Look at him, out of control. Sweeney, come here. Be quiet. Sit down. Sit down. There are workers in the hallway changing the carpets. Okay. So where was I at? Oh yeah, the bad teenager. Okay, so he rejects her again. He says, we're done. I'll get a job and pay my own apartment. You'll do all this, but yet you haven't done anything towards getting a job yet. Now they done handed you a job in a prestigious law office, and you messed that up. But now you're taking charge. Now they also make a point of showing this boy drinking again. So from the very beginning, they've always showed him drinking whenever he's alone. He's drinking again. So obviously this boy's got a drinking problem, right? He tells her, we are done. I don't want any more contact with you. And here's the thing. The next time somebody asks me who I am, like everybody's crowding on asking most people don't even know he's there. Next person asks me who I am, I'm telling them. That's his threat to her. Right? Now she's trying to secure this job as a permanent pastor. So she's trying to avoid drama until she's in. Right? He says, I don't want to see you no more. I don't want anything to do with you. I don't want your money. Then we get to a couple of big scenes. Clarisa confronts May in her bedroom, right? And Miss May does not want to be bothered. And she said, oh, here we go. Clarisa says, oh, I want to talk. May says, oh, here we go. So she assumes it's going to be some kind of begging thing, trying to get this furniture, right? She said, I already said you're not getting the furniture, so you forget about it, right? And then Clarisa said, I wrote a letter to you, but I think I want to say what I have to say to your face, right? And she proceeded like she's starting off like she's going to, I've always wanted to be accepted by you. Starts off slow. But by the end of this little speech she got, she is going off on Miss May. I forget all the names she called her, but she called her some kind of old jalopy with a body in the trunk. At that point, she said several things. At that point, Lady May hauls off and knocks the shit out of her. Right? Pow! Oh, Lady May. Okay. And then she has a few words, and in walks the bishop. In walks the bishop before Lady May jumps on this girl, right? This thing is it's at a crescendo. This argument they're having, where Clarisa wants to tell May how she feels and what a worthless piece of such and such, and how worthless her daughter is, such and such. And in he walks. So both of them, for whatever their reasons are, decide to play it off. Oh, hi, Bishop. Oh, hi, Bishop. And so this girl leaves. Bishop comes in. He tells May that he decided he's not going to go to Atlanta. They have an intimate moment. I think she kisses on her forehead, but mostly they hug it out. She's happy that he's not going to Atlanta. I guess this one sermon was going to break him some kind of way. Anyway. Jacob tells Clarissa's already having a bad day, right? Jacob comes home. He tells he says, "Oh, haven't you seen the news? What's the matter?" He tells her about the party, about the fight, and about how he has been fired. The last thing he says to her is, "You're going to have to put that house on hold." So she then went off on Lady May now, got the shit slapped out of her. Told her in no uncertain terms what a worthless piece of dung she is. And now she's got nowhere to move to. Although, let me interject here. Writers, you're great writers and all that kind of stuff. But I would think that if she is the full-time, is she the principal of the school? She runs the school, right? So she works full-time. He is the associate pastor at this big church. Can't they pay the mortgage? I mean, if they have this big down payment, I guess it all depends on what he's getting from this basketball team. But her plan was already in place before he got that job. Anyway, he says I lost that job, and now you got to forget about this house. In my opinion, they should 2 full-time workers. You would think they would be able to pay the mortgage. I didn't see any mansion. I mean, it was just a regular little track house. Anyway. Last scene. Grace comes into May. Those two are getting along a lot better this season. A lot better than any other season. May is not so outwardly hostile towards her. She said, I want to talk to you. And she said, about what, hon? About my son. So Grace just confessed to May that she has a son. We don't get any details. Fade to black, end of story. Okay, so this is a great series. I love this series. I tried to watch Greenleaf Empire last night. I couldn't make it all the way through. So this writing is so much better. It holds the interest. And I'll talk to you guys next week.